crazy beasts. I hope you had a good week. Get all of our settings here. My mic got a little discombobulated. Don't know what's going on there. Happy Friday, Tennessee woman. Hi, Mount Claim. Oh, I miss you. I hope things are well with you. I know you've had a hard time and you're always in my prayers. Let's see who else is here tonight. If you're here, give me a shout out. I'll watch for you to come in as I'm talking. So, what a good day. Today is my youngest son, Jacob Ryan Wilson, my youngest son's 27th birthday. Isn't that awesome? It's like, it's better than keeping a plant alive for a year. So, I feel like I'm very accomplished. So my dad had an appointment at the VA. Sorry for telling all your business, Dad. My dad had an appointment at the VA this morning, so we decided to meet up in Lexington at 7:30 for breakfast. So it was me and my dad. Hi, Dad, if you're watching, I love you. Um, Mom too, if you're watching. Um, Me and my dad and my oldest son David, and then Jacob for his birthday. So it was really nice. We just got this kind of, you know, impromptu chance to hang out. And I don't know how much you guys get to hang out with your adult children. I know I used to see them a lot more when I was watching their kids, but their kids are a little bit older now, so they don't need all of that. And I do miss those days for sure. um yes, happy birthday to Jacob. I told you guys we've got so many, my mic right here, we've got so many birthdays coming up. We've got gosh, everybody has a birthday in the summer except for my daughter and Don. Spring or summer. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Life's good. Trying to, keep all of the craziness in perspective. If you've been watching the news this week, there's been a lot of craziness, and we're gonna talk about all that tonight. All that said, I had breakfast with my dad, and about the time I got home, I started feeling really nauseous. So we're gonna try to keep it to an hour tonight because something's not right. Ugh. I'm probably pregnant. No, I'm not. I don't even have the plumbing anymore. So last week I told you guys I'd show you the sign that I had made for my front door, and I'm going to show it to you now. And you can have these. I can't remember what the site. I'll have to go back and look and see what the. I guess it's a page on Amazon. There's like a store. That's it. There's a store on Amazon you can go to, and you just tell them what you want on your sign, and they'll make your sign for you. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear me since I'm not in the scene, but and so that's the sign. And what's funny about it is, I've noticed, how the Amazon driver or whoever's delivering whatever you, hi Shay, whatever you've got coming, you know how they put the package on your front doorstep and then they take a picture of the package to show that they left it at the door. I noticed that they then will back up and level their cameras up and take a picture of that sign. Um, so it's so far I've only had one person violate it. Enlighten, hi. Yeah, I've had one person violate it, and I was it was so funny. Don and I were sitting on the couch, and I can see that there's two people at the door, and I can see that they're reading the sign, and I'm like, okay. And I'm sure if they look in the window, they can see that we're sitting there, but the sign says it all, right? And so I, I'm watching them read it, and I'm thinking, surely they're not gonna ring the doorbell or knock. And and they do. And I just Don's like, "Well, you're gonna answer it?" And I said, "No, they read the sign. I'm not answering it." And it was like a showdown between us and the people at the door. Like, I don't know what good thing they thought would come of me coming to the door, because if you've read the sign, you should get the idea that I'm not a very nice person, or at least that I hate strangers or people who sell things door to door. I don't hate them, but I don't. I, See, I have a rule. If Don's not home, I don't open the door to anybody that I don't know, just as a safety reason. And we don't live in a dangerous area or anything. It's just I don't. I mean, if it were like a little old lady, I would. But any guy that I don't know, I don't open the door to them. And it doesn't matter what walk of life they're from. I just don't do it. So anyway, yeah. But we won. We won. They rang the doorbell twice and they waited and they waited and they waited. And I'm like, "Oh, we're not going. Don't you dare get up and answer that door." And they went away because we had to teach them about follow through. You're at the airport waiting for a flight. Where are you going, my friend? Are you coming to Kentucky? You should give me advance notice. I would have made up the spare bedroom for you if we had a spare bedroom. I'd have to put you down in the RV. Anyway, did you guys? So, I was here. I had to go to Lexington today, and I was waiting for the Fannie Willis thing to come down, and I so wanted to be in front of the television when it happened. And I was kind of, I wasn't real shocked about the way it went. I don't know if you guys were or not, or if you've even heard about it yet. Maybe you just walked in your door and you work a job um, where you can't keep up with these things. So this is on the RICO case, and well, I think it was 41 indictments. Now it's 36. Oh, from San Diego for your son. Okay. Um, and this is where the judge dismissed the 6 charges, including the phone call to Raffensperger. Um, Now he dismissed those because the indictments were so poorly written, so they can rewrite those and bring them again. Um, and so we'll see what the case is just falling apart because a lot of things depended on those six indictments that were dropped, or 6 counts. And so Judge McAfee was tasked with deciding if Fannie Willis should be um, dismissed from the case, removed from it for unethical, um, behavior, that sort of thing. And because of her relationship with Nathan Wade, who she hired to work for her, and then she had financial gain from the money he was making. She was paying him more than any other attorney on the case, even an attorney who had extensive RICO experience, um, when Nathan Wade had never even prosecuted a felony. So, I mean, the whole thing just stinks. And the judge said that actually in the indictment or in the ruling. But what he did was he gave the district court or the Fulton County court, um, they could choose themselves. They could take Fannie off the case, or they can take Nathan Wade off the case. And he did bring up, um, because his theory is that if you take Nathan Wade off the case, then you've eliminated the impropriety. But my thought is what about the improprietor? She's the one who instigated all of this. She hired him. She knew she wasn't supposed to hire him. She didn't get it approved. All these different things. His billing is highly sketchy, as evidenced by every lawyer I know or I watch that has looked at that billing. But so he took her off, but he made some arguments for the trial judge, or maybe the defense going forward, that they could make, that there was impropriety. There were things I think that they thought should be handled at that level instead of at his level. As I understood it, his only job was to determine whether he should dismiss the attorneys on the case. I know they said that he could throw out the whole case, but there was no way I thought he was going to do that. Um, there would be such an outcry, and I don't think they actually gave him, or he had enough information to decide whether to throw out the case, because he was actually just looking at the Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade relationship. So that didn't really, yeah, he doesn't have the power to disbar them either. That would have to be the state bar would have to do that. And as I understand it, people are bringing that request. Um, so yeah, he can't disbar either of them. All he can do is throw them off the case. He could have I think he could have done something about them perjuring themselves on their interrogatories and in their testimony in the court, but he decided not to do that, which that was actually what bothered me more than anything. It didn't bother me so much that he didn't disqualify her from the case, but that he didn't, and I don't know how that works. I don't know I think a judge can say that you perjured yourself, but I don't know who prosecutes that? This is the district attorney of that county. So I don't know how that works. So I'm guessing that's something that would have to go before the ethics committee. They had one committee sitting for that, and I guess they decided that they didn't have authority over the district attorney, so it wasn't in the right place. And then, we'll see what happens with the bar, and she's in a bunch more trouble than that. So she's got a new legal problem. I'm going to show you guys this. Um, so she's facing a new lawsuit from Judicial Watch, and that's I think Tom Fitton. They sued Willis and Fulton County, Georgia on Wednesday, alleging that the plaintiffs failed to comply with state laws by allegedly refusing to hand over communications that the district attorney and county had with former J6 committee and special counsel Jack Smith. So the Georgia Open Records, kind of like a FOIA request, which was filed in the Superior Court of Fulton County, claims that Willis' office lied about not having the records that Judicial Watch had requested in August of 2023. Judicial, I think that's it. No. So in the complaint, Judicial Watch claims that it had submitted a request for all documents and communications sent to, received from, or relating to Smith, so Jack Smith, the House Committee, the J6 Committee, and any other employees on August 22nd, 2023. After acknowledging receipt of the request, the group said the county informed Judicial Watch that it did not have any records a day after the request was made. So they're saying there's no responsive records. The conservative group argues that the county's representation about not having records responsive to the request is likely false because of a letter that Willis sent to the J6 committee chairman Benny Thompson in December of 2021, and news reports that indicate members of Willis's office traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with staffers, and they have the record of those appointments. The letter requests assistance. So Willis was requesting assistance from the select committee and suggests dates when Willis and her staff were available to travel to Washington to meet with the select committee staff. The letter also, so this makes it appear that they're working with the Biden administration. The letter also offers Willis' email address and email address of Ms. Willis' assistant to coordinate that. Willis' letter to Chairman Thompson is plainly responsive to the request. Yes, of course it is. Yet it was neither produced to the plaintiff in response to the request nor claimed to be subject to exemption. So they just pretend they lied about it existing, basically. So Tom Fitton's going to sue for that. Um, the remedy he's looking for is to get those records and for her to have to pay the two court cases. So they had to no, I think it's just this one because they got a thing saying that there were no responsive records the next day. This is the court case, so he's suing to get money back on that. The other thing that is happening is she's being called before oversight in Congress, in the federal Congress, and I think it's House oversight, and she has to give. So they had a whistleblower in her office, and this whistleblower, I don't know if it was Jim Jordan who the whistleblower went to, but the whistleblower came forward and said that there was a federal grant that the Fulton County DA's office received, and it had something to do with crime deterrence in youth. And Nathan Wade was pretty much like heading up what was going to happen with that grant. And so he was talking about going on trips and getting new computers and basically using it as a slush fund. And so she said, wait a minute, this grant, if you've never done grant work before, I have. Grant work is very specific. You have to use the money um, in the way that it's indicated. A lot of the people that I see violating um, the way grants are written are generally the government. Private entities are kind of scared they're going to lose grant money, so they don't so much do it. I wonder if her mother named her Fanny or if she chose. It's her name. It's actually Fani. I just can't bring myself to say that, and she's made a big Fanny of herself, so I think she's earned the name. But so they're pulling. So she knew about this. So the Yurdi character, I can't think of her first name. Yurdi is her friend who testified that she was in a relationship with Nathan Wade from that Fannie Willis was from 2019. And Yurdi said, and she was living in Yurdi's condo, like subletting the condo. And Yurdi, I think, also knew about this um, misappropriation of funds for this grant. So, I mean, there's just that office is just a hot stinking mess. They need to get their crap together. If she had any ethics at all, rather than put the county and everybody else through this, she would have just stepped down from this case. Um, I don't know how that would have maybe fixed anything because they still would have gone after the DA's office. But we'll see what happens with this. A lot of people are really upset about this, and I have had a different take on that the whole time. ever since we started talking about this, I told you guys, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And this woman is incompetent. She, I mean, if you watched her testimony, she has no class. She has no couth at all. She has a very tenuous grasp on reality and an even lesser grasp on the law. It applies to everybody but her. Her own arrogance is her undoing. And she can't see past her own nose for the things that she's doing wrong because she's above everybody else. And so my take on this was she is so unlikable and unqualified that we're better off staying with her because I think she's going to be easy to beat. If she gets thrown off the case, they may get somebody who's actually competent. Now, if she'd gotten thrown off the case, they would have had to rework the whole case, which I don't think any district, and it would have had to been another county besides Fulton. So Cobb County or somebody like that would have had to take it up. And I don't think they would have because of the cost and the nightmare that it is, unless somebody's twisting those knobs. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I think this is better in the long run for us just because she is so unimpressive as a prosecutor. And and now she's I don't know if she's embarrassed, but her office has been embarrassed by this. The county has been embarrassed. The entire judicial system there in Georgia is kind of reeling from this. This is a huge, huge black eye for them, and this is something that everybody that sits on a jury is now going to have heard about. Now people have very short memories, and because all of this has happened, because the 6 counts, because McAfee let go of those 6 counts, got rid of those 6 counts, that's going to delay the case. So it looks like the case won't come to trial until after the election. So we'll see what happens there. Um, these people are they're just a nightmare. I keep telling people, look, this is one of the most interesting times to be alive. Um, because it never gets boring. I don't ever remember in my life where there was spicy news every day, and there is spicy news every day. All right, here's our next one. What the heck is up with this page? Cancel. Don't do that. All right, let me get this. So this one, what is this? Can we fix it? Oh, for Pete's sake. Hold on. I get it. I get it. Give me a little minute. Um, so this one is the Hunter Biden thing. Hunter Biden had said when they called him to come and speak to Congress, he said that he wanted to do it publicly. So he was subpoenaed, did not show up for subpoena, which is contempt of Congress, which Peter Navarro is getting ready to go to jail for. Steve Bannon is charged with, and I think he's got jail time waiting for him. And so they went after them. The Democrats went after them for contempt of Congress for not showing up for subpoenas. I sadly do not think the Republicans have the balls to do it. And they should, because if it's the rule, it's the rule, and it should apply to everyone. And nothing upsets people more than double standards. It's just so frustrating. If you're going to go after a president for having documents, go after all the presidents who've had documents. You can't just do one person and not the others without it really disenfranchising a bunch of people and making them turn on you. So they offered him a public hearing, and now he's saying that he's not going to go. The lawyer doesn't have time to get there. Just his usual. Um, I used to kind of feel sorry for him, but boy, he is such a prima donna, and he is so arrogant that I think he's whatever he's got coming, he probably deserves it. So he rejected an invitation from House Republicans to attend a public hearing alongside his former business associate, despite previously demanding such an arrangement be made. Oversight and Accountability Chairman James Comer, he's from Kentucky, previously invited Hunter to testify alongside Devin Archer, Tony Bobulinski, and Jason Galanis, and he doesn't want to be in a room with any of these guys. Um, Abby David Lowell, Hunter Biden's attorney, turned down the invitation on Wednesday, calling the public hearing a blatant planned for media event. He asked for this event. His whole thing was he wanted to do it in front of the media because he said he felt like if they did it in private, that everything he said would be manipulated, which is stupid because there would be a written transcript. It's just all BS. He just doesn't want to testify, but he keeps making up new reasons for it. Um, at your press conference after the January 10th, 2024 committee hearing to hold Mr. Biden in contempt, You stated, all we need are people to come in for the depositions and then we'll be finished. Well, that was all they needed on that day. As things progress, you end up needing more things. Um, so Mr. Biden did just as you asked. And as you did when you announced that witnesses could choose depositions, you wanted to ignore what you said, Lowell continued. Lowell is just a total horse's ass. I think he's probably as coked up as Hunter. Um, Lowell paid like Hunter's tax bill. There's all this just nefarious stuff going on. So we'll see. When is that supposed to happen? That's supposed to happen on March 20th. So we'll see if Hunter shows up or not. Um, and if they hold him in contempt of Congress. And if they don't hold him in contempt of Congress, I have zero. There's what possible reason besides being totally gutless could you have for not holding him in contempt? I was trying to think, is there a political move that would make that, because he wouldn't go to jail right now. Like they could go and get him and drag him into court, but or into the hearing. So I mean, I don't even think that anything would come of it until after the election. Um, and I'm all for giving, people the benefit of the doubt, but this guy has just I mean, he just won't quit. He thinks he is more important than everybody else. He's another Fannie Willis is what he is. And I'm just so tired of their arrogance and their um playing games. Well, I want a public hearing. Oh, well, no, I won't come for a public hearing now because I did the deposition. Well, he had to do the deposition because he had a subpoena and he finally had to comply with it. So this guy's just a nightmare. It's the worst of the worst for sure. The next thing we've got, let me get this pulled up for you. One day I'll figure out how to do this all ahead of time, but I can't figure it out now. So this is about Jill Biden's personal assistant. Make sure you guys can see. So insiders are leaking that a top White House official has engaged in unprofessional conduct, but that his position as First Lady Jill Biden's top aide has made him untouchable. According to the New York Post, sources with firsthand knowledge say Biden's top aide, Anthony Bernal, yeah, the openly gay man who is famously being tagged as the First Lady's work husband, has engaged in bullying of employees and verbally and sexually harassed colleagues for more than a decade. And this might get a little spicy with the language, guys, just if your kids are up or around. Um, Oh, despite this, the report states nothing has been done about it. One claim, for instance, maintains that Bernal has repeatedly talked about comparing the size of his member to those in his office, according to reporters. The paper reported that two sources had said that Bernal, 50, has repeatedly joked that the size of a man's member is indicated by the size of the man's thumb. Okay, I don't know, like what. You know me, I'm a nurse. I got to go there, right? Hi, Coffin. Uh, so I read that and I'm like, okay, define thumb. Like, hold on, let me get that other comment in too. Um, like, are you talking thumb here to here? No way. Are you talking thumb to wrist? I don't know what they're. I need more information on this because my scientific mind wants to know. Poor Don, I didn't do anything like that, But he came home and I'm like, I wonder if he would go along with. Maybe we'll ask him when he gets home and see what he says. See if we can prove this theory and identify what part of because the bone of the thumb. Sorry, I'm like a 12-year-old boy today. The bone of the thumb comes all the way down to here. Just like these bones, your metacarpals come all the way down too. So I I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gone there, but I did. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I'm weak. I'm weak. Back to the story. Um, Yet another source told the Post that Bernal often uses accusations of small member size to jab someone, and in another case commented on a staffer's bulge in his khakis. How gross is that? I mean, come on. This behavior has also been going on for years, the paper added, well before Joe Biden became president. Sounds like a real an interesting guy. It was a lot of inappropriate remarks, the Post wrote, quoted a source as saying, talking about other people's attractiveness and speculating about their intimate lives at very weird moments. That's actually sexual harassment. The paper found many other insiders who agreed with the claims that Bernal often makes inappropriate sexual comments. I've heard him say inappropriate things about people's sexuality or pry inappropriately into people's personal lives, one staffer said. I heard him ask if people are gay all the time. Another stated, according to the Post, that I could think of more than one instance where he pontificated on whether someone was gay or not. They're definitely gay. The paper said it found almost a dozen current or former staffers who agreed that Bernal regularly engages in unprofessional behavior in the workplace. Many felt it was hypocritical of Biden to keep Bernal in such an important position, considering how the Democrats place such a premium on combating harassment, especially since Joe Biden took office. I was just going to say this, took office claiming that he would fire anyone on the spot if he discovered that any staffer disrespected a colleague. I mean, they would have to fire Kamala Harris tomorrow because nobody can work for that woman. Um, they choose to surround themselves with bullies who run around the White House like mean girls, making the president and first lady look like phonies. Well, they are phonies if they allow this to everyone in Washington because everyone on the inside talks about what happens there on the outside. It reflects poorly on the president and the first lady. The Post is not the first time Bernal's behavior has been in the public eye. It was also mentioned in a story in Politico back in 2021, but it does not appear that they've done anything about it. The insiders also said that they doubt anything will ever be done because Bernal has the ear of the first lady. And well, I mean, if she'll let her husband shower with her 11-year-old, why would this bother her? Um, so anyway, they fawn all over him, and he's basically gross. Which, I mean, does that surprise any of you? It doesn't surprise me. Spud Hill. I think it's true about hand size and a guy's other side. And Spud Hill, I want you to take a minute. Go investigate that and come back and confirm or deny. And are we talking like where, like the thumb to the wrist? Are we talking this? There's no way. I don't know what we're talking. We shouldn't be talking this at all. Forgive me, Lord. He made me this silly. It's not my fault. I blame him entirely. Well, that's what I said. When he gets home, we'll check. Spud's like, I'm not doing it. That's what your husband's for. What the heck? I want to survey a larger crowd. And you spoke up, so you walked right into that one, my friend. Let me make sure you can see. Okay, here we go. So, do you guys remember when Letitia James went to do this speaking engagement where they were, I think they were recognizing uh, el- promotions in rank for people in the New York Fire Department. And when she got there, they booed her. And so, in true arrogant dictator form, she and the head of the FDNY said that they were going to hunt down the people who were booing her and they would be disciplined and re educated. And that went over like a fart in church. FDNY leaders backed down on their hunt for firefighters who booed Marxist tyrant AG Letitia James after major backlash. Last week, a group of FDNY firefighters booed Letitia James as she gave a speech during a promotion ceremony. After honoring FDNY Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh, James' speech was effectively drowned out by loud pro Trump chants in the crowd, and it was loud. According to leaked memos, any FDNY firefighter who booed Letitia James will be punished and face re education. What world are we living in? The firefighters were asked to turn themselves in or risk being hunted down. I, I'm like, what are you going to do if all your firefighters quit? Have you thought about that, you booger eating morons? Um, at least two Staten Island lawyers stepped up and offered to help the firefighters for free. FDNY leaders said they are not investigating the firefighters who booed. See, they're denying the internal memo. I think they're probably investigating them. Leaders of the New York City Fire Department have extinguished prospects for a hunt, at least one that we're going to know about, for rank and file members who jeered the Empire State Attorney General James when she took the stage at the ceremony. At no point has there been an investigation. Give me a break. It's such gaslighting. They do something. Um, they say they're going to do something, and then they're like, "What? We never said that. Where did you guys get that idea? We would never do such a thing." Length of hand. Okay, so to the wrist. Well, my member is huge. I'm looking. Things you didn't need to know about Nurse Penny. Not officially. That's right, not officially. They're not going after them officially. It'll be done quietly. Okay, so the next one is this video is so great. I hope you guys love this as much as I did. It takes place in India, and it's this guy who is trying to steal this lady's purse. And let me make sure I've got that centered so you can see. Yes, okay. I'm sorry, Ecuador. Um, and just watch what happens to this guy on the motorcycle. Chased him backward down the street. How great is that? I'm like, don't be stealing ladies' purses. What the heck, you moron? I love that guy went after him. Um, and he did a really good job driving backward down the street because there was a car coming down the alley. I think that's the only reason he didn't get hit him one more time going backwards. Uh, and I don't know if they go after people who, like here, you'd be in trouble for doing that. Um, so I'm curious to know if they go after people for stuff like that there. Maybe not. I don't know what life is like in Ecuador. All right, let's make sure you can see this. There it is. China is now building our FBI offices inside the US. What could possibly go wrong? This is a fabulous idea. The outrage over China's covert police stations inside of America was quick and decisive. If you didn't hear about that, China had police stations. They had one in New York, California, I can't remember where else. And they're monitoring their own citizens. And I don't know what else they're doing. But even the Chinese people who come across the border illegally are frightened of the Chinese police that have police stations here in this country. Um, in October 2020, 8 were indicted, 5 in the United States and 3 in China. Indicting someone in China may seem pointless, but it has worked in the past where China may have dealt with those named publicly by the US. Um, Oh, there it is. Okay. So the ongoing worldwide operation by the Chinese Communist Party is for China to hunt down dissidents, so anybody who's talking trash about them, and forcibly return them home for interrogation, imprisonment, and likely execution. So the problem with that is these dissidents, in many cases, are American, Chinese American people, and they are enforcing Chinese law on them, basically. The pursuit phase of Fox Hunt reminded me of the early work in the global war on terror, where we pursued Al Qaeda operatives around the world and conducted rendition operations to black sites. So, where is this about the FBI? Instead of the Chinese clone of GWOT. Okay, wait. The pursuit phase of Fox Hunt reminded me of the early work in the global war on terror. Okay. The Chinese clone of Global War on Terror has no boundaries. It appears our Department of Justice is working to shut down the CCP Fox Hunt operation. But are they? Secretary of State Blinken just hosted the Chinese director of Fox Hunt for a formal dinner. What the hell, Anthony? Why would he do that? Uh, is Blinken trying to curry favor for a position after change? A disturbing assertion was brought to my attention. Instead of US finding Chinese covert fox hunt police stations, is China now in the business of building our sensitive US government facilities? This is like the inverse of us rooting out their police stations. Why bother establishing a police station when you can just build the sensitive facilities for the American government and fill them with all kinds of bugs, taps, and monitoring devices? Biden administration rolls out red carpet for Chinese communists who ran secret New York City police stations. I mean, do you realize how bad this is? And I didn't hear this anywhere. I didn't hear this on any news. And I listen to a lot of news. I found it in Gateway. I think this is Gateway. Yeah. Um, Mal- Mulaski Construction of Las Vegas, Nevada cites its success in building U.S. government facilities, including several FBI field offices. For our special and secure U.S. government facilities, we need trustworthy companies that can deliver the best construction and renovation to make sure no foreign threat fills that building, and network connectivity with different tricks of the trade to see, hear, and read everything going on in that facility. It's important that everyone, especially key personnel in a construction company working sensitive programs, are trustworthy themselves. So anyway, it just goes on and on. Um, and I mean, look at this picture. There's Anthony. You know what? One, two, three, four. So there, one, two, three, four in is Victoria Newland, five in is Anthony Blinken, and I can't see past that. Oh, wait, Anthony Blinken. It doesn't say who else is in that. What the absolute heck? Why would we let them build our FBI buildings? He decided he wanted to hit him again. I know. Isn't that great? Jew Boob. Hi, buddy. I haven't seen you in forever. Welcome, welcome. All right. And we're going short tonight for sure. Um, Boeing. Did you hear about this, you guys? Holy molasses. Let's share this one. Boeing whistleblower. Can you see? You can. Okay. Boeing whistleblower who died suspiciously said this to his friend before his death: "If anything happens to me, it's not suicide." So, a former Boeing manager and whistleblower, John Barnett, had told a close friend days before that if anything happened to him, it would not be suicide. The Gateway pundit previously reported that Barnett was found dead from what appeared to be a self inflicted wound inside his car in a hotel parking lot shortly after testifying against the aerospace company, and he was supposed to come back and testify again the next day. Um, Barnett had accused Boeing of neglecting safety concerns and retaliating against him for his disclosures. The same airplanes that the doors are blowing off of and landing gears falling, from it out of the sky and crushing cars, breaking as they're going down the runway, the landing gear breaking. Um, the 62-year-old, who had a 32-year tenure with the company until his retirement in 2017, died on March 9th during a break from depositions in a whistleblower retaliation lawsuit. Barnett's death came, they already said that, where he alleged under pressure, workers were deliberately fitting substandard parts to aircraft on the assembly line, the Daily Mail reported. Charleston police are investigating after Barnett was found in his truck, suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. According to the Daily Mail, Barnett was reportedly found with a silver handgun in his hand and his finger on the trigger. I'm sure he was. In the wake of his death, a suicide note was reportedly found near Barnett, raising questions and skepticism among his legal team. His attorneys, Robert Turkowitz and Brian Knowles, have publicly questioned the conclusion that Barnett took his own life, urging the Charleston police for a thorough investigation. They emphasized Barnett's upbeat spirits before his scheduled deposition and expressed disbelief that he would commit suicide. Adding to the mystery, police have conducted an extensive examination of Barnett's vehicle, a process not typically associated with clear cut suicides. According to reports, police have dusted his car for fingerprints. Hotel staff members also recounted Barnett appearing completely normal on the evening preceding his death. Now, this. In a shocking revelation to ABC News, a close family friend of John Barnett disclosed his haunting premonition before his untimely death. Jennifer, whose mother has been lifelong friends with Barnett's mother, shared that Barnett had expressed concerns about potentially ending up dead in a scenario falsely framed as a suicide. Jennifer recounted her conversations with Barnett, emphasizing his love for life and dismissing any possibility that he could have taken his own life. He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, "Aren't you scared?" And his voice and the way he would talk, "No, I ain't scared," he said. "But if anything happens to me, it's not suicide. I know that he did not commit suicide. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now," she said. Barnett's premonition has now become a chilling focal point for those demanding a thorough investigation into his death. His claim, perceived as a warning, has ignited speculation and concern over potential foul play. Isn't that terrible? God bless you, John Barnett. Rest in peace, buddy. Happy Friday. I see you guys all getting here. Did I miss anybody? Got that one. Jeremy, welcome. I haven't seen you live since you were very sick with COVID. Oh wow, that's been a long time ago. That's been that's been March 12th of 2020. So 4 years and 2 days ago. Yes, all is well and welcome, welcome. All right, new RNC leader is our next one. Well, if we can get to it, there it is. Okay, make sure you guys can see, and you can. New RNC leadership sues Dirty Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and Michigan Elections Director and Eric Chair Jonathan Brader. At least 53 Michigan counties have more active registered voters than citizens over 18 years old. Under the leadership of free and fair elections advocates Michael Whatley and Laura Trump, the new and improved RNC has replaced the Do Nothing About Election Fraud RNC previously led by Ronna Romney McDaniel. And that's them right there. There's Ronna and McCarthy. Laura says the RNC will devote massive resources to election integrity, finally. It's been rumored that Romney McDaniel is planning to run on the Rhino ticket for governor of Michigan in 2026. Of course she is. Isn't she from She's not from Michigan, is she, you guys? Where coincidentally the new RNC will file its first election integrity lawsuit. The RNC filed the lawsuit representing 30 million registered Republicans in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories, in the U.S. District Court in Western Michigan. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit include Michigan resident Jordan Juritzma, who is currently running for a seat in the Ottawa County Commission as a Republican, and Republican legislative aide Emerson Silvernail. Michigan's Dirty Secretary of State's Jocelyn Benson and her Director of Elections, who also serves as the chair of ERIC. I don't know what ERIC is. Electronic Registration Information Center, are named as defendants in the lawsuit. While several states have dropped ERIC, um, formerly formerly led by Democrat activist David Becker, the state of Michigan continues to pay ERIC, which is a system, which is now chaired by Michigan's Director of Elections, Jonathan Brader, who was handpicked for the position by Jocelyn Benson to clean its voter rolls. Yeah. So far, Eric has, intentionally, failed miserably at that task, leaving all volunteer groups like Check My Vote to find fake addresses, fake voters, dead voters, and voters who no longer live in the state, and fighting to get them removed from the voter rolls. It is ridiculous that you have to fight to get them removed from the voter rolls. All you should have to do is turn in the corresponding information that proves that they're dead or moved or whatever, and they should easily come off the voter rolls. Anything else would be fraud. And how could you possibly argue with doing that if you say you want honest elections? It's ridiculous. The lawsuit states that Missouri Secretary of State Benson and BOA Director Eric Chair have failed to meet the requirements outlined in Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act, which requires the states to maintain clean and accurate voter registration records. Of the 83 counties in Michigan, the lawsuit claims at least 53 have more active registered voters than adult citizens over 18, and 23 have registrations exceeding 90% of all citizens over 18. That number of voters is impossibly high. Comparing the registered active voter count for 2022, census data reveals that these 53 counties have active voter registration rates at or above 100% of their citizen voting age population, and it breaks down all the counties there. I wanted to look at Wayne. Wayne, I used to live in Wayne County. That's 101%. Looks like Mont, I think Montmorency is 110%. Ascota is 110%. Otsego is 111. Anybody higher than that? Roscommon is 110. I know where that's at. Um, an additional 23 counties have active voter registrations. We already read that. Um, then it lists the ones that are over 90%. The lawsuit states this is not the first time Michigan has failed to abide by the NVRA's requirement. In 2020, Michigan election officials were sued in this court for violating NVRA. At the time, Michigan had one county with registration rates in excess of 100% of the voting age population and 15 counties with rates above 90%. The state defendants moved to dismiss the case, but this court denied the motions. And so there's a lawsuit. I wish I could remember where it's going on, where this group has taken, I guess, the state to court, and they want the court to decide if the state is legally obligated to abide by their own election laws. It's ridiculous. Why would you have an election law that you don't have to abide by? It's ridiculous that you now have to have a court case to get a judge to say, yes, these are the laws that you passed and you must abide by them so that they can finally go after them. This is how ridiculous enforcement has gotten. Um, on March 4th, a Joe Biden appointed judge dismissed a similar case filed by the Public Interest Legal Foundation, or PILF, against Michigan's dishonest Secretary of State that claimed Jocelyn Benson had violated federal law by allowing over 27,000 deceased voters to remain on the rolls. The decision by U.S. District Court Judge Jane Beckering of the Western District of Michigan sent shockwaves through Michigan, as citizens strongly believe dead voters have no business on their voter rolls and question why Jocelyn Benson is fighting so hard to keep them on the rolls until after the 2024 election. Instead of working to restore confidence with voters, the arrogant Democrat Secretary of State, who was part of a George Soros scheme to put radical secretaries of state in place in key states, had this to say to the Detroit Free Press about the 2021 PILF lawsuit. Let's call it what it is, she said. A PR public relations campaign masquerading as a meritless lawsuit filled with baseless accusations. I'm so tired of the word baseless that seek to diminish people's faith in the security of our elections. Shame on anyone who abuses the legal process to sow seeds of doubt in our democracy. Somehow, Jocelyn Benson always finds a way to make herself a victim of her own dirty work. Yeah, indeed. We'll see what comes of that. I don't know how she can yikes, hold on. How she can possibly argue uh, that this is something that we should not be doing, that we should not clean up our voter rolls. Summer Rose, hey there, girl. Uh, Good evening. These judges, I know. Well, and I wonder. See, the thing is, if you can't even get into court, then you can't go to an appellate court. You can't. You can't go any higher to fight the ruling. So if they keep telling you that you don't have standing, that they won't take up your court case, you don't even have any way to appeal it. You're just dead in the water. And this is how they did all of this during the election, was they just kept saying, well, you don't have standing, you don't have standing, you can't prove the case. You don't have to prove the case to get it into court. You just have to present the little bit of evidence that you have, and then if that's the case, then it can go forward. You can get discovery, and you can find the rest. But they did everything they could to stop people from being able to get discovery by dismissing cases on the grounds of standing. Well, I don't understand how Michigan citizens don't have standing for election integrity in their own courts. And it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do or what they do. It just doesn't matter. They'll do whatever they want. And that's what's so disenfranchising people. They're like, well, why bother voting? Why bother doing anything the right way if there's no rules or there's only rules for some? And I get the frustration. That doesn't mean we give up, because apathy would be the worst thing that we could do. But man, I can understand where people are getting there for sure. Okay, here's a little comedic break in our Friday night coverage. Okay, so you've got to listen to this. Let me know if you guys can't hear it.
Good morning.
Oh, geez, I can't
I'd
even
like
hear
to
it.
first start off on the
Oh
very
man.
positive.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to hear it. No. Okay, I'll have to tell you about it. Let me turn my stuff back down so I don't blow your eardrums out. Already in the red. Still there? Yeah, okay. So I wanted to hear her testimony because it's pretty funny. So, New Orleans, rats have gotten into confiscated pot at New Orleans' aging police headquarters, munching the evidence as the building is taken over by mold and cockroaches, said the city's police chief. The rats eating our marijuana, they're all high, Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick told New Orleans City Council members. Kirkpatrick described vermin infestations and decay at the offices that have housed New Orleans police since 1968, saying officers have even found rat droppings on their desks. These are brave rats. The police department did not immediately respond to an emailed request Wednesday for more information on how they discovered marijuana was eaten by rats. Well, they showed the rats and they were totally high. They couldn't even walk. City officials are taking steps to move the department to a new space. That's been a priority of the police chief since she took office in October. The chief said her 910 officers come to work to find air conditioning and elevators broken. She told council members the conditions are demoralizing to staff and a turnoff to potential recruits. The uncleanliness is off the charts, Kirkpatrick said, adding that it's no fault of the department's janitorial staff. They deserve an award for trying to clean what is uncleanable. So we'll see what happens here. It's weighing a proposal to spend $7.6 million on a 10-year lease to temporarily relocate the police headquarters to a pair of floors in a high-rise building. Why not just, it's $7.6 million, build something? The council's criminal justice committee agreed Monday to advance the leasing proposal to the full city council for a vote. Kirkpatrick says the rental agreement would give the department time to come up with plans for a new permanent headquarters. Ron Harrison, Global Technical Director for Orkin Pest Control, told the Associated Press he hasn't encountered someone reporting rats eating their marijuana, though the company has pest control contracts for some greenhouses that grow it. Harrison said the New Orleans situation isn't completely shocking since rats are omnivores, and that the rats may experience the same effects from the marijuana as humans, depending on what form it was in. From understanding the biology of the rat and how it's somewhat similar to us, I would think, based on the amount or concentration they take in, it would be somewhat similar to what humans experience. Yeah, I would guess so too. I guess, maybe they're so bold because they're so high. It could be. Hi, Denise. Hold on, make sure I didn't miss any comments here. I've been working. What happened with the family? Yes, he ruled not to dismiss it. That they had a choice. She could either resign or Nathan Wade could be removed from the case, and that's where it went. Which I have said all along, I wanted Fannie Willis on this case because she's arrogant and she's incompetent, and those are two great things. Um, because if you're arrogant, you're not smart. You're so arrogant you don't realize you're incompetent, and if you're incompetent, you're not smart enough to realize you're too arrogant or that you're incompetent. And that's the kind of prosecutor I want to go up against. So that's where we at. I had a mouse eat my stash back in the day. They liked it. I bought a bunch of mouse traps for revenge. He ate your weed. I'm so sorry. We were talking about at breakfast. My cousin Frank, who's since passed on, but my cousin Frank worked as a repo man in Detroit. And so he's got this big repo truck that's got this wiring harness on it. I don't know what all this means. And he would repo, if you can imagine how dangerous the repo business in Detroit would be. And so he had all these great stories, but one of his stories was one day somebody stole his repo truck. And so his friend Clayton calls him up. He's doing repos in downtown Detroit. He's like, "Hey man, I found your truck." So the thing in Detroit is if somebody steals your car, according to my cousin Frank at that time, I don't know if it's different now, but if your car gets stolen, the police department does not look into that. They don't handle, they just don't do it. They wouldn't get anything done. So they confine themselves to bigger crimes. But so if your car gets stolen, you're just SOL. So this was an expensive tow truck that my cousin had, fitted and everything himself, and he wanted his truck back. So Clayton finds his truck, and Clayton finds his truck and he calls him and he says, "Hey, Frank, I found your truck. It's at this house that's owned by a gang and it's got all these stolen cars in the back." I mean, the police could just drive right by and collect all those cars, but they don't, or they didn't at least. And so they devise a plan to go steal the truck back. So they go over there and there's somebody casing the block, like watching for that house that nobody's going to go in that house. So they leave, and wait for it to get kind of to the wee hours. And they come back and they had to leave because Frank forgot his keys. So then they come back and they steal the truck, but they forget the wiring harness. And so then they have to go back and steal the wiring harness out of the back of the yard of these gangbangers who were stealing trucks. And I just thought that was the bravest thing I've ever heard, to steal your truck back from gang members who stole your truck in the first place and go back a second time to get the stuff you didn't get the first time. And that's not why he's dead. He survived that. Isn't that crazy? All right, from rats, so from rodents to pestilence. Let's get this one pulled up. All right, make sure you can see. You can. Not just measles, diarrhea outbreaks reported among, sorry if you're eating dinner, among migrants sheltered at a Chicago O'Hare airport and police stations. Concerns over public health and safety have escalated as reports emerge from O'Hare International Airport, one of the Midwest's largest travel hubs. So, all these people moving through this airport that are legally here, which is currently functioning as a migrant shelter and facing a significant outbreak of diarrhea. Now, any other shelter would get shut down for this sort of thing. But I guess because it's the airport, you can just spread whatever kind of disease this is. I mean, what if this is cholera, or these things are very contagious? William Kelly, a Chicago reporter, recently joined Fox News and voiced alarming observations about the dual humanitarian crisis affecting both illegal immigrants and local residents. His sources at O'Hare report that the outbreak has raised fears that travelers may avoid the airport due to health concerns. Well, these are the same people, you all, that made us walk around with masks on and stay 6 feet from each other and stay in our houses. But they're letting into this country. So now leprosy is in the country. It's in Florida, Texas, and it is coming from people who are coming from countries that have leprosy. We now have measles. Typhus is back. Um, I want to say there was cholera in Seattle or California, um, typhus, drug resistant tuberculosis, leprosy, malaria, um, measles, polio. There's polio in the New York water supply. Hi, babe.
Hi, sweetheart.
Did you have a good day?
I did. Don't you look lovely?
Thank you. Mm,
Love you.
love you. Um, It's not only a humanitarian crisis for the migrants, but for the people of Chicago as well. My sources at O'Hare are telling me that there's an outbreak of diarrhea. Who's going to want to fly in and out of an airport under these circumstances? Well, they're not telling the people flying in and out. Kelly's alarming accounts extend beyond O'Hare to the police stations in Chicago, which are also being utilized as migrant shelters. The police I talked to are saying it's not just in the airport, but also at the police stations. There are 18 migrant shelters in Chicago currently, including Chicago police stations, which also are reporting an outbreak of diarrhea and overflowing toilets. This is a health concern for the police officers who have to return to their families at the end of their shifts. And how are they supposed to arrest the violent criminals in Chicago, the epidemic of violent crime, when they're babysitting migrants? The health crisis is further complicated by the recent measles outbreak in the city. The Gateway Pundit had previously reported a surge of measles cases within a heavily populated migrant shelter in Chicago, housing over 1,800 individuals, including 95 children under the age of 2. If you get measles, the treatment for that is a dose of vitamin A day 1 that you're exposed, and a dose of vitamin A day 2, whatever the appropriate dose for your age is. Um, Most of the children who had serious complications or died from measles years and years and years ago, died because they were malnourished and they were low in vitamin A. Once we started treating it with vitamin A, everybody does fine. Um, 2 children and 2 adults have been diagnosed with measles, and measles has, I think it's 10 people. So for every one person that gets measles, they spread it to 10 others. COVID was for every one person, 1.5 people gets it. So that's how contagious measles is. One child has recovered, the other is in the hospital in good condition. And I'm guessing he's not in the hospital because he was super sick, probably because they couldn't keep him in the shelter. The 2 adults diagnosed Monday are reported in stable condition. A fifth unrelated case popped up elsewhere in Chicago. A mass vaccination effort took place at the Pilsen Migrant Center or Shelter over the weekend, with about 900 migrants getting the MMR vaccine. Approximately 700 migrants were assessed as having already been vaccinated or exposed to measles and were not required to be quarantined. Some unvaccinated migrants reportedly broke quarantine and left the shelter. Maybe that case wasn't unrelated, um, according to a statement by Chicago Department Public Health Commissioner. We have advised all unvaccinated and newly vaccinated residents of the quarantine period, which is 21 days. But some of those residents have left the shelter. They can't make them do anything. They can lock us in our homes, but not them. And I want to acknowledge that, Dr. Eig said. That is why we so strongly advise the unvaccinated to get the vaccine and to immediately quarantine if you've had contact with anyone with measles. Yeah. The thing is, you don't want to spread it to like a pregnant woman or a very young baby. But still, I think the vitamin A advice follows there as well. Measles and diet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Itching torso rash with diarrhea in people being kept with limited toilets. It's just a nightmare. I hate all these illegals are treated with velvet gloves. Yeah, me too. Yeah, because here in Kentucky, they had an Easter service. I've told you guys this many times. They had an Easter service where people could go to church in their cars with their own families that they already live with. And our governor deputized the health department to mandate quarantines for 2 weeks for all of those people who were just sitting in their cars. But these people can leave the police station with measles. Yeah, thanks for the info on vitamin A. Yeah, just Google that vitamin A and measles. There's all kinds of good information on that. I'm going to go over it at some point, but not today. All right. Now I wanted to talk to you. I've been researching this for a while. Let me make sure you can see. Nope. Let me see if I can fix this for you. I think it's going to be on that side. How far down it's going to go. Let's see. Please don't go the whole page. Oh, it's going to be in the middle, of course. Yeah, you can see that. Okay. So I have been wondering, we've got this lead problem in Flint in the water. There's a lead problem in Chicago, I think Baltimore, many places. And I'm noticing that a lot of these lead problems are in very violent cities. And so I remember the whole lead thing from when I was a kid. It's when they started changing the paint over and they started testing us. We lived just outside Detroit in a town called Ecorse, and they tested all the kids for lead exposure back then, saying that it could cause mental retardation, other neurological problems in children. Well, I was wondering if this lead exposure could be causing these people, because I'm seeing like people just acting like animals. I mean, beating the hell out of somebody who's already unconscious on the ground, videotaping it for fun, cheering and yelling. That's crazy. And I'm like, this is psychotic behavior. And then I thought, could this be from the lead? So, a recent investigation by Reuters found that lead exposure affects kids in communities across the country, not just in high profile cities like Flint, Michigan. This is worrisome because elevated blood lead levels in kids have been linked to an array of developmental delays and behavioral problems. More ominously, this could also increase crime. Kevin Drum and others have argued that lead exposure caused the high crime rates during the 1980s and 1990s. There has been suggestive evidence of such a link for decades, though it hasn't gained much traction, right? Because the cities don't want to do anything about their water. And our government would rather send billions of dollars out of this country than make sure that our kids aren't being poisoned by lead in the water. It makes me so mad. I mean, this is a basic health they're like, "Oh, you have a right to housing and you have a right to a universal basic income." I'm like, "You don't even have a right to not have lead in your water. How about we start there?" Um, The case that lead exposure causes crime recently became much stronger. The lead crime hypothesis is that one, lead exposed exposure at young ages leaves children with problems like learning disabilities, ADHD, and impulse control problems. And two, those problems cause them to commit crimes as adults, because they can't self-regulate, particularly violent crimes. For many years, the major source of lead in the environment was leaded gasoline. Car exhaust left lead behind to settle onto dust on the roads and nearby land. When lead was removed from gasoline, lead levels in the environment fell, and kids avoided the lead exposure that caused these developmental problems. About 20 years later, when those kids became young adults, crime rates fell. This, proponents say, is what explains the mysterious and persistent decline in crime beginning in the early 1990s. It's an intriguing idea, particularly since we don't have a better explanation for the big change in crime rates during this period. Several studies have found correlations between lead exposure and crime at varying levels of geography, from neighborhoods to nations. But correlation, as we know, does not equal causation. Um, the challenge So they're talking about poor nutrition, poor schools. Yes, all of that plays in. A true experiment where some kids are randomized to grow up with high lead exposures and others not is out of the question. But you already have your control groups here. You just find a community of like-aged children with like social structure and no lead in the water, and you compare it to the cities that do have lead in the water and those populations of kids. Economists have gone hunting for natural experiments. I just call me. I can tell you how to do this. And they found them. Three recent papers consider the effect of lead exposure on juvenile delinquency and crime rates using three very different approaches. All have plausible but very different control groups, and all point to the same conclusion. Lead exposure leads to a big increase in criminal behavior. One of these papers considers the aggregate effects of lead exposure on city level crime, using data from the early 20th century. The authors noted that one of the primary ways individuals were exposed to lead during this period was by drinking water pumped through lead pipes. But not all cities had lead pipes. If a city was far from the nearest lead refinery, it would likely have pipes made from another material. Comparing places with and without lead pipes might allow us to estimate the effect of lead exposure on crime. But we'd worry that places near lead refineries are systematically different in some other way, blah, blah, blah. Um, and they're talking about acidic water treatments and things like that. So anyway, the data is showing that this does flesh out. They found that exposing populations to lead in their drinking water caused much higher homicide rates 20 years later relative to similar places where kids avoided such exposure. This evidence on a city level violent crime is more compelling than previous correlational studies, but perhaps it would be even better to compare similar kids who live in the same community. Anyway, it goes on, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you're living in a city, um, you can, Zach showed us how to do that. If you go to, oh, I can't remember how he did that. Are any of Red Pill 78's viewers here tonight? I know he doesn't do a 5 o'clock show on Fridays. I can't, if you're here, can you type into the chat the website if you can remember it, or what show he did, where you can go in and you can check your water and see what contaminants are in it just by zip code? The only problem I found with that site was sometimes the data was 3 or 4 years old. But assuming they haven't redone your water system, I would say, if you see lead there, it's probably still going to be there. But anyway, yeah, he went through and people kind of popped in their zip codes and he looked them up for him, but I cannot remember what website that was. And I can't remember. I want to say last week he did a show, where he put in some zip codes. And I can text him and find out for the next show and ask him what that website was. All right, we got two more. Well, one more story, but hold on a second here. This one. I mean, if we're not being experimented on enough, here you go. Is genetically altered mold the future of food? I know you guys are standing in your kitchen thinking, man, what should I make for dinner? And you're pouring through your pantry trying to figure it out, and you've opened your fridge and you're wishing you'd set the crock pot this morning before you left for work. Well, have no fear, my friends. Genetically altered mold is here. What the heck? Would you like some genetically altered mold for dinner, Tommy? Yes, Mommy. I love genetically altered mold. Genetically altered mold could be the future of food, providing tasty, healthy, and environmentally friendly snacks. Like, isn't that the. Do you need me to say anything past that sentence? Is that like the biggest propaganda crap sentence I've read to you ever? It could provide tasty, healthy, and environmentally friendly. You guys, I don't give two shits about environmentally friendly snacks. I don't even know what that means. Um, if we want to worry about the environment, let's go after China. They're the biggest polluters, China and India. If we're really worried about it and we really want to make an impact, let's do it there and leave my snacks out of it. I don't want your tasty, healthy, and environmentally friendly genetically altered mold. New research suggests that modifying genes in fungi could create cruelty free products that are healthy for consumers and healthier for the environment. Very processed foods. Scientists at the Biosciences area at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab are exploring the many possibilities for new flavors and textures that can be made by modifying the genes already present in fungi. For the study published in Nature Communications, the team looked at a multicellular fungus called Aspergillus oryzae, also known as koji mold, that has been used in East Asia to ferment starches into sake, soy sauce, and miso for centuries. But I don't live off those foods. Then they use their gene editing system, because that's how I like my food, gene edited, to make modifications that elevated the mold as a food source. Babe, do you want genetically altered mold
No,
for dinner?
no.
Are you sure? Okay.
I also don't want cockroaches or grasshoppers or.
So the next embarrassing question. So Jill Biden has got an aide named Burnell, I think is his last name. Was that right, guys? Yum sounds delicious. Um, and he is sexually harassing the people in the White House. Did you know about this, babe?
No. When
He,
did this come out?
well, he's openly gay, and he goes around and he tells people that he can determine their penis size by the length of their thumb. And I said, "Are we talking tip of the thumb to the base of the thumb, or are we talking tip of the thumb to the wrist?
I don't care. That
Because if we're
question.
talking tip of the thumb to the wrist, my penis is ginormous."
Yeah, that question should not get answered, and he should be reprimanded.
Well, I asked
HR.
Spud Hill to go and evaluate and come back and report, and he said I had to ask you to do it. So when you come back in here, let us know.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm asking you to do?
No, I'm not doing it.
It's for science, babe.
No, it's not for science. If it's to allow some guy to sexually harass his coworkers, I'm not doing it.
He won't do it, you guys.
No,
You're fired as my groupie.
Oh, I know. I.
Oh,
you
no.
talk me into all kinds of stuff, but because if his backstory wasn't involved,
Yeah,
then I would.
you would have done it.
I don't know.
I'll just wait till you fall asleep. Poor Mr. Whitbroat. Spud Hill says, I appreciate you, Nurse Penny. In a show a while back, you informed me about taking K2 with vitamin D. Yes, not optional. If you're taking vitamin D, you need to take K2 so you don't, the calcium that goes up when you take vitamin D does not harden your arteries. Vitamin D has helped me big time with the recent psoriasis problem. I had vitamin K, and that has improved your vitamin D levels. And the vitamin K is also helpful for psoriasis. Spud Hill says top of the fingertip to the wrist when hard. So take time. You didn't know you were walking into that, did you?
Oh, I didn't know it was turning. I thought never mind.
Yes, mold is a huge trigger for people with MCAS, and I have MCAS. I don't want your tasty mold burgers. What the heck? Leave us alone. Stop bothering us. I feel like I'm being pursued by evil. And thank you for the tip there. Spot. Keep the tip. All right, last one, guys. Anyway, they're going to try to make this into burgers by putting heme in it. Heme is the component of meat that gives meat that taste, like blood, kind of. And so they're going to genetically make the fungi make heme. I just no. I mean, I love me some mushrooms, but that's as far as it's going. I don't want your genetically altered mold. Leave us alone. Good night. Please stop. We can't take any more. All right, this is the last one, and I had to show this to you. So if you guys have been following, is it the Haiti, this guy, so the United States government, in true fashion, because we always do crap like this, not us, we're great people. Our government sucks. Um, they basically forced Haiti to take a president or to put a president in that they didn't really want. There was a pressure campaign. And so they put that guy in. And now this other guy, Barbecue, they call him Barbecue, has taken over. And there are videos of Barbecue setting his people that he doesn't like on fire and actually roasting their limbs to eat. So he's a cannibal. And the news is like, this is not true. This is a baseless blah blah. Suck it. I'm so tired of your baseless conspiracy theory. If I have to, if I have to make more room in the notebook for all of the conspiracy theories that were baseless that are now true, I'm going to need a new binder. Um, but anyway, so now they're saying all these people are leaving Haiti, and now they're like, well, we have to fly them in. They all have to live here because old Barbecue is so dangerous. I'm like, what? Just Osama bin Laden him. Take him out. You know, if he's this dangerous that you have to evacuate everybody from the country, take him out. We do this crap all the time. Why is this guy any different? Because we're trying to change the electoral college. That's why. You get enough immigrants in here, whether they vote or not doesn't matter. Their population counts toward the census, and that counts towards the electoral college. It counts towards how many representatives they can have, and the however many representatives you get plus 2 is how many electoral votes you get as a state. And that's what they're doing. These people don't actually have to vote. I think we've talked about that before. It's not a theory that hold on, cancel. It's not a theory that the powerful conspire with each other. Of course it's not. You're very wise. All right. So on in so this video popped up on Twitter and it was so funny. Because of this barbecue conversation. So this CNN reporter goes to this island, I can't remember the name, to visit with these tribal people, and they are cannibals or they practice cannibalism. And the the interview is just hysterical. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure you can see it. Okay. Summer says, I'm all for cruelty-free policies. Yeah, me too. But don't try to genetically modify food. What is right? Well, and the thing is because food is um, recognized as safe, RAS, I think there's another initial in there somewhere. So like when they genetically modify food, they don't have to do any tests to see if that's safe for us or not, because it's GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Well, yeah, in its natural form, but they're doing all this genetic altering and all these fertilizers that are dangerous to us, Monsanto, all of that. And they're like, but the food is generally recognized as safe. We're sorry about your cancer from exposure to Monsanto pesticides, but the food's generally recognized as safe. So we won't put that herbicide on the food anymore. We'll genetically modify the food so that it expresses the herbicide. This is what they do to us. I'm just so over it. Okay, to the cannibals. Hopefully we can hear this.
Thanks. Well, okay. All right. Okay. Maybe I'll take this off right now and then... Okay. Just thank you. Okay. Thank you. Why are people on that side of the river so afraid of the Agori? I see. Why do
Okay, one more time, and I'm going to read it this time.
Thanks. Well, okay. All right. Okay. Maybe I'll take this off right now and then. Okay. Just thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Look on his face.
Why are people on that side of the river so afraid of the Agori?
Should we eat the living? Shall I show you by eating my own flesh?
I
Then call me a gory.
see. Why do
I will cut off your head if you keep talking so much. Oh, wait. How did I do that?
feel like this may have been a mistake? I think maybe we just somebody distracts him and then I just leave.
Let's see where it goes.
We can be polite. I can be very polite about it.
Isn't that the greatest thing ever? Maybe we could just leave. I could be polite about it. Hey, Don, Summer Rose says you get a C in science because you would not participate in our experiment. You're lucky you didn't get a 0. She's being very generous. You didn't even make an attempt. You didn't even try to match it up in your brain. He didn't actually measure it there. He just said that as an interesting factoid. He's not playing. Vector, how are you, my friend? Anyway, that's the last story I had today, but I loved the cannibal. I will eat you if you don't stop making so much noise or if you don't quit talking so much. And the guy from CNN looks totally freaked out. He's like, "Can we just go?" When they put that crab claw thing or lobster claw thing on his head. What are you making for supper tonight, Vector? I think Don picked up. Did you get something to eat, sweetheart? Yeah, Don picked up dinner for himself, and I'm nauseous, so I'm just sipping on Pepsi. Ugh. I don't know what got me. I had eggs at 7:30 this morning. You think that would be better by now? Yeah, Vector's here from Australia. Hey guys, where all are you from? Spud Hill, where are you from? Summer, where are you from? Who else is here? I know where Debbie's from. You don't do all your are you doing lives now? You got your whole studio set up and everything. That's awesome. Oh, you made tiramisu because you love me. I wish you could send that to me from Australia. I've had people, was it Let's Get Sewing that sent me beets, pickled beets or candied beets? I can't remember what they were. And then strawberry jelly, whoever sent me, I can't remember who sent me the strawberry jelly, but that's gone. That was wonderful. Idaho. Spud, are you really in Idaho? Winchendon, Massachusetts, Watauga, Texas. I used to live in Texas, and Granbury, Texas, which is near Fort Worth. And I lived in Cleburne, Texas, too. And I've lived in Kansas and Missouri and Michigan, Tennessee, Louisiana. Did I say New Hampshire? I think that's it. Central New England. Are you in Vermont? You can admit it. We won't hold it against you. Does Vermont get to call themselves New England? They do, don't they? I know a lot of people were upset about uh, the primary went down in Vermont, but I don't know why anybody would have expected it to be different. Don't they normally go uh, for Democrats? I don't lie. I'm not saying you do. I'm a dox from Pennsylvania. Oh, love your heart. How is it in Pennsylvania? You know Granbury? That's so cool. Yeah, I went to Granbury High School. Um, I went to high school in Michigan. I went to high school in a lot of different places. My dad was in the nuclear industry, and so you're north of Fort Worth, okay? Um, and anybody in Ohio? Did you see all the storms that went through Ohio and Indiana? My daughter's in Ohio, but they dodged that one. Which part of cannibal did he not understand? I'm baffled with these people. Shay's from Leo, Indiana. I'm baffled too. Like, what exactly did you think? What kind of reception did you think you were going to get when you went to visit the tribal people who practice cannibalism and annoy them with your stupidity? It's like if you've not seen this, you need to watch it. Matt Walsh is What is a Woman? And he goes all over the world asking this question. And Ontario, Canada, welcome. Um, and he goes all over the world asking this question, and he goes, is it like a Maori tribesman or something? I can't remember who these people were, somewhere in Africa. And he's like, well, but what if you're a man who's really a woman, that you're a woman in a man's body? And these people laugh at him. And they're like, oh yeah, only in America would people believe that stuff. Um, and I'm like, it's just puberty confusion that people go through. They're struggling with the changes of puberty. And for a very small group that persists into adulthood, but for most people, puberty itself cures it. Science actually shows that 95% of kids who are gender confused, by the time they go through puberty, it's resolved. You hate it in Pennsylvania. Come to Kentucky. We've got a booger head for a governor, but what are you going to do? At least he's kept in check. I hate that it is so hard to pull these Kalahari tribesmen. Yes. But yeah, if you've not watched that, What is a Woman? It's great. And I think you can watch it for free is it on Twitter? I won't call it X. But yeah, I think you can watch it for free there. It's just a great, great movie. And he asks just some really rational, I don't understand why we can't ask rational questions like that. It's insulting to ask rational questions now, which I don't understand. Like we ran into a fella at the park a couple weeks ago when we took my bike out. I got an e-bike and I wanted to practice, and Don wanted me to do it somewhere off the roadway. So we went to the park, and there was a fella there named Eric Penn. And Eric Penn's uncle and dad were MK Ultra'd and became serial killers, and he's written books about it. And and he happens to be a black guy. And so I said, "Hey, can I ask you a question about race? Because that's just the kind of person I am." I'm like, why take white people's word for it? Let's ask a black guy. And yes, exactly, Vector. Um, and so I said, what was the question? Oh, I asked him about, oh, you're in Portugal. Lovely. I asked him about, I was reading the book of Mice and Men on book club, if you missed that, and the N word is in it. And I would never say that word just sitting here talking to you, but it was in the book. And I told him I debated about saying it or not, because it is so offensive. And I prayed about it. And I felt like to not say it was to deny the ugliness of that word and how it was used as a weapon against people. And I didn't want to diminish that because I felt like we needed to be reminded of how bad racism was in that time. And that a black person couldn't just be himself without having a slur thrown at him. And we were good people. And and I said, "What do you think about me saying that word as a black person? How does that make you feel?" And he said, "You know the origin of that word, right?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Look it up." He said that the word comes from the word, I think he said niga, which is a African word. I don't know which language. Niga might be N-E. Hold on. I think he said N-I-G. Yeah. N-I-G-A-H or N-I. Hold on. Okay. The word okay, so the root word of this is negas, and then there's the bad word, the N word. The true origin and translation. The word Niga is derived from the word Negus, which is a royal title for Ethiopian and African kings. I was totally blown away when he told me that. He had me look it up on Google he's like, I want you to look this up. You need to be researching this stuff. You need to not assume that what everybody tells you is true, and you need to go back to the origin of things. And so he was telling us all about MK Ultra and how it was practiced here in Kentucky on people who were incarcerated, which I didn't know. And then he was like, look this up, look this up, look this up. And he was taking me back to the source documents on everything. And I looked to see if I could get any of his books, but they're no longer in print, so I'll have to check the library. But if you find one, his name is Eric Penn, Penn. And let me see if we can find the name of the books. Eric Penn, author, if I could spell Author. Okay, so one is called, Thrift Books has one. It's called so he's written, hold on, let me share this screen with you guys. I want to try to have him on when he gets back to California because he didn't really have a setup where I could interview him while he was here in town. Words take on the meaning we assign to them through our intent. Intent is everything, yeah. That is why water records your intent. Water has memory. Yeah, that was a great study. I can't remember the guy who did that. Um, yeah, that's why I felt okay reading it too, because I was reading it within the intent of the author and in a historically accurate way of it being used as a pejorative. But let me show you this guy's books. Eric Penn. He's written more than this, but one is called Children of Chaotix, Breaking the Cycle. And then the other one, how do you stop? Hide them. No, I don't. Oh, stop. I don't want a pop up blocker. I just want you to quit showing me that. Okay, here we go. The other one, and so he's a therapist, I think. Psychology of Killing. And then Psychology of Killing, what is this one? This one they have. I should order this one. Psychology of Killing takes a speculative look at the Beltway sniper case, the events that are those his dad and cousin or uncle? The events that frightened Americans beyond description is analyzed and compared to other notorious killers. The author used techniques that the FBI employs to solve esoteric cases called anagrams. This book decodes in vivid detail a clue that was left behind at Benjamin Tasker Middle School in Bowie, Maryland in October of 2002. The author uses techniques that we already read that. The author attended the sniper trial in Virginia Beach, and the anagram never came out in court. Dr. Kenneth H. Bridges was murdered during the sniper spree, but little has been mentioned about his nationalistic movement, MATA, designed to empower African Americans on an economic level. Psychology of Killers elucidates how Dr. Bridges may have been a victim of an international conspiracy designed to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Throughout the book, anyway, super interesting. Um, he goes through Posse Comitas and all kinds of stuff. So, anyway, his name is Eric Penn. The book that I was actually interested in was Children of Chaotix, Breaking the Cycle, because a lot of this is from his lived experience. Does it give any kind of? Yeah, you can't find it. I'm gonna have to really dig to see if I can find either one of those. Is there more? No, but I know he's written more. So he's also an artist, and his work is, uh, I think California is collecting his work. Um, hold on, trying to get to your comments here. Means black, yeah. Well, it's negro, Negr. Well, in Latin and Spanish, it's Negro. Um, This is right up my alley. I specialize in decoding cryptic puzzles and symbolism. Really? I'm an expert on the skull and bones. Okay, well, maybe that's something, one of those. I think the one book on decoding was the one that was available on Thrift Books. That was, let's go back to Eric Penn. Um, was that Psychology of Killing? Go back one more here because there were three. No, Psychology of, Psychology of Killing: What Drove John Allen Muhammad to Kill. So that's the book that has all the coding in it. So maybe that's something you can find. I don't know if it's available where you are. If I find it, I'll let you know. It's probably not one I'll read on book club because it's pretty dark. But yeah, maybe that'd be of interest. If you do read it, let me know. But I'm going to try to have Eric on. I've got his contact information as the number. Okay. I will check out if you leave a link. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me get the link. Copy. Can you copy a link out of the? We'll see, won't we? Paste. There you go. I know I put a link in my own chat. Shame on me. Well, if I can get back in my chat, stupid thing. I can't get this to go down. Now I can't see your comments. That's super frustrating. Comments. Okay, there we go. You got the link. Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. And as you read it, the author kind of, if you can give me a little, if you could give me a little book report. But we got to talk to him for quite a while. I mean, if I weren't awake, I would have thought he was crazy. He didn't come across as crazy at all, but the things he was saying, I would have thought this guy's like over the deep end. Um, but since I'm awake, I kind of know about MK Ultra and stuff now, and I think a lot of people know about that. But I didn't realize the extent of it, and that they were. Psychology of Killing is on abebooks.com. Okay, let's look there. Abebooks. .com. Oh, let me share my screen. Well, Penny, I used to know how to work here. Okay, let's see if we can find it. abooks.com. Psychology of Killing Eric Penn. Oh, yep, there it is. I wonder if they have any of his other stuff. I really wanted to read Children of Chaotix. It's just dark stuff. I can't read a lot of that. Yeah, they don't have that one. But they have the other one. So if you guys are interested in that, a book, Psychology of Killing, by Eric Penn. I bet it's going to be an interesting read. If you can do that sort of reading and have it not affect you, I'll have nightmares. Thank you for putting that link in the chat for me. I'm a doc. Yeah, so if you guys read that, let me know. Eric was, what was he traveling around doing, babe? The guy that we met at the park.
I don't know. I think he's just kind of traveling, meeting people.
Yeah, he was kind of going across the country, and he was going to like where different leaders were buried and people who owned slaves. And he kind of had gone on this journey of going to people's graves who had really persecuted slaves, and spiritually forgiving them, and just a really, really interesting guy. Left on 10/7/10. There's your symbolism. I don't know what that means, Vector. Left on. Yeah, I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to. I don't know about all the symbolism stuff, so I know there's a lot of people into it. I've got people who message me and they're like, "Did you see um, the numerology of that?" And I just, I mean, I do well to find my way through. I have such a bad sense of direction. I'm like, numbers are in that same part of your brain. I can do a dosage calculation for you, but short of that, I don't know a whole lot about the whole symbol things. They have 20 copies on books. Yeah, so if you guys are interested, okay, so the vivid detail, a clue that was left behind at Benjamin Tasker Middle School in Bowie, Maryland on October 7th. What's the significance of October 7th, 2002 besides that, though? Because is that what you were saying, that was that date itself, other than that, was symbolic? I saw something the other day and I remember thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to remember it now. I should have written it down, but I was going to tell you guys about it. The vivid detail clue that was left behind at Benjamin Tasker Middle School. 17 is very important. Yes. Yeah, I know there's groups of numbers that are really important. Um, Vector, maybe we just need to do a show together on that because it's just not much. Oh, interesting. Oh, well, you guys, hold on, hold on. I love decoding and knowing the definitions of words we have forgotten. Yeah, I do too. I love looking up old words. Hamas attack on 10/7/2024. It won't let me click on that comment to display it. It's same numbers. It's a symbolic attack. Okay. It's cool to hear your husband on the show. Yeah, he on Fridays he generally pops in because he's getting home from work um and so we get to have a few minutes with him. I try not to. We did a Saturday show together, and he's good for about an hour, and then he can't do it anymore. Um, Definitely not his thing, but he sits in for me with me sometimes, and that's helpful. All right, guys, that's all I've got tonight. I'm going to get off here so that I can get some crackers and some Vernors because Vernors is the ginger ale to drink. I don't know if you're drinking that piss water ale 8. That's a big thing in Kentucky. It's so gross. Vernors is the premier ginger ale. Canada Dry? No, I'm judging you if you're drinking that. Um, who is it? Fago used to have a ginger ale that was pretty good. Um, and there's one other. I can't think of the other one that's not bad that I would drink. Yes, I saw that the Dan Bongino's mom died. I think she was pretty elderly in a nursing home. Is I think if I'm getting that right. But yeah, definitely prayers for Dan losing his mom. She's gone on from being alive to being super alive, which I can attest is a great thing. Um, but yeah, Dan does a lot for the community and just the information that he gives. So yeah, definitely praying for Dan. So let's close us out in prayer, and then I will see you guys on Wednesday for installment 3 of Storming Heaven or Heaven Stormed. I never can remember the name of that book. Um, Verner's. See, don't mind me. Verner's is the bomb. It's the best. And I have to drink it a little flat. It's just perfect if it's really cold and just a little flat, just a little. Otherwise, it's so bubbly it kind of overtakes you. All right, Heavenly Father, thank you for this week and for my viewers and friends here. Um, we pray. I got some specific prayer requests for one of our viewers who's looking for work. I pray that you would bring a job into that person's life that would be a blessing to them, where they could be a blessing to others. I've had several people email me who are struggling with health problems. Father, I pray that you would heal them or bring the people into their lives that can help them heal, and that you would give them comfort while they're going through that process. Um, there are a few people who messaged me that are really struggling financially. And Father, I would pray that you would bless them and bring people into their life to bless them and help them get through these slim times. I know people are really, really struggling, and I know that's hard even for you to see. And I just pray that you would bring support around those people um, so that they could be blessed and be able to get through their lives without worrying about how they're going to buy gas and groceries and all of the such things. Father, we pray for our leaders in this country that they would develop a spine, that they would develop some ethics and some conviction, and do the right thing as instead of doing what is politically beneficial and expedient. We need brave men and women to stand up in this time and lead this country through this really dark period. Father, I pray for the upcoming election that if there were to be any foul play in the election, that you would immediately bring that to light and that you would bring to justice. If you'd start shining the light as you have been on all of these things that are starting to come out, we pray that that light would just get brighter and brighter and brighter until the things were so obvious that people would have to see them, would have to admit they see them, and then decide if they're going to walk in that path of darkness or if they're going to come over and walk in the path of the light. We don't want there to be any excuse anymore for people to say that they don't know. We want the truth out. And we thank you so much for putting people in place who are facilitating that because it is a dangerous job. Father, we pray for the family of the whistleblower from Boeing. And we pray that the police would have a desire to actually get to the bottom of what really happened to that man. And we just thank you for all of your provisions and for your fighting for us and putting people in place to fight for us. Help us have the courage and the endurance to keep fighting and not give up, not rely on other people to do what we need to be doing. We just thank you so much for your inspired word into our life and for your love of us. And most of all, we thank you for Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Yeah, bring justice back to our landlord. Amen to that. Um, oh, Vector, you're going to buy it. So I'll be interested to hear your take on that book. So we'll be back Wednesday. I don't think I have any conflicts on Wednesday. Let me check just to make sure. I generally try not to, but I'm handling a lot of my parents' medical stuff. So things are really busy right now. Um, let's see. Nope, we'll be here Wednesday morning for the third installment of Heaven Stormed, I think is it. I think is it. Is it Heaven Stormed or Storming Heaven? Heaven, Randy K. Heaven. Yeah, it's Heaven Stormed. Anyway, it's been really good. If you've missed it, if you go to my webpage, if you go to the channel through the web, go through a web browser, rumble.com, go to the Nurse Penny channel, and then go to playlists. I'll show you here. Oh, well, you won't be able to see it because I'm logged in. But if you go to playlists, you can go to it that way. You have to go in through the web. And all the books are in their own playlists. They're all ordered so you can look and see which episodes you want to watch and you can listen to them there. Vector says, I'm really looking forward to speaking to you on air. I can have you on my show if you like, as I have not done an interview for ages and I would like to open up the call lines. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know how to do calls. Um, Bring justice back. Yeah. Yeah. Let's set that up. My email is in the description underneath. My website's in there. If you want to support the show financially, there's PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. And I definitely appreciate that. I've been telling people we're getting close to breaking even on the cost of the show where we're not having to pay all of that. And much of that is through people that just give $5 a month, but it really helps and it adds up. So thank you to the people who financially support the show. Thank you to everyone who supports the show and myself in prayer. Those prayers are definitely felt. Debbie Bender, thank you so much. Pamela, thank you for being prayer warriors for me. It means the world to me. And anybody else who's out there praying for me, if I've forgotten your name or if I don't know about it, thank you. Thank you so much. If we've been praying for you and your prayers are answered, please email me and let me know so I can share with the group that those prayers were answered because that's a great encouragement to people to see that. So we'll see you on Wednesday morning, 10:30 Eastern for book club. Until then, Nurse Penny out.